Hey gang, welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. Today's video, I guess it's really the first repair video that I'm going to do on my Mach 1. Now this is a 69 Mach 1 that I bought, I don't know, a year or so ago. I can't even remember. It's pretty much a rust-free car other than somebody has done some work on the quarter panels. So apparently there was some rust there and they opted to just cut off the bottom half of the quarter panels and do the repair work, which never happened. And I believe that was about 30 years ago. So the panels that they had were like these panels. Now this panel is an overlay panel. It's not a correct panel. It doesn't fit the car the way it should. It doesn't have the angles, and they were going to use that as a patch. I elected to buy two new Dynacorn quarter panels and outer wheelhouses. Now what I need to do is address some minor rust issues, and then I can put the wheelhouse in and fit up the quarter panel, and I may be able to have it all done basically in an afternoon. It is currently about noon, and I'm going to see what I can get done for the rest of the day, but let me show you what needs to happen. Now, as I mentioned, these are an overlay panel. They are not meant to be a direct fit. So this is for a 69 or 70. As you can see, it even has somebody had put on there cutout for the side marker light. The bottom of these is not correct. They're not shaped right, and I can show more of that later. But they are really meant to kind of overlap the original panel and then be covered up with body filler and try to smooth it in. Now, what they had done is they had trimmed this out below the opening for the side vent, and they had removed the outer wheelhouse. So all that is already taken care of. I'm not going to remove this flange. This weld here is kind of like I don't know how to pin, like a pinch weld, and you can see roller tracks. So when they welded this, it's almost impossible to remove that without a lot of effort. So my intent is to use the new Dynacorn panel and basically overlap what is there and do spot welds on the perimeter. So that should be fairly easy. Back here, they had cut off the bottom of the quarter panel and they left the flanges where the quarter panel met the drop-off panel. So again, this is pretty minor. I can take this, grind this off, get rid of that. Take this one, grind it off. I will have to make a patch here and replicate this hole that's supposed to be here. Little hole there I might be able to weld shut. But this is in good shape, so I'm going to salvage that. And they have also cut the flange on the front here. So this overlap from here down is already been stripped off. So there's not a whole lot that needs to happen to make this quarter panel fit. So what I will end up doing is cutting this quarter panel probably very close to this edge to give me as much material as I can, come up around here and cut it somewhere right below this body line. The intent being that I can lay it on top of what's here, recut everything, because what they had planned to do was make a flange and weld these together as like a flange. So I don't know if you can see it very well, but there is where they crimped it. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try to do basically a butt weld all along the length of that. I think that makes it better for me and makes it look better overall. So yeah, I think I can do it. I'm going to get started and see what I can knock out. Here's where I'm at. I have removed any excess metal from this flange right here. Just ground off the edge. It's all good now. I did separate the metal off of the drop down panel, and I fabricated this patch. So I used part of one of the old wheelhouses that I had left over, the scrap pieces, and I made a patch that's going to go in here, and I'll weld that in, and that'll take care of this forward section of the rocker panel, of the wheelhouse. So then I'll need to fabricate just a lower section for that back there, and I'm debating on whether I want to take advantage of this flange right here. Now what I mean is the original flange for the wheelhouse tucked behind this flange. So I'm debating on actually trimming off this section of the wheelhouse so it doesn't interfere with this, it doesn't overlap it, and then I could just weld it on the edge. I just don't want to have this sticking out further than it needs to be. So I'm still debating on that, and we'll see what I come up with. Alright, I have patched up the front area, again nice and solid. I made the filler patch for the drop-off panel and also made the holes that are supposed to be there. And while I was at it, I did find some rust in this area down here, so I made a patch for that as well. I like this because the numbers are still there and I wanted to keep that. So now what I want to do is get the wheelhouse in, and I've already test fitted it, and the only conflict that I have is up in here again. I don't know if I mentioned this, where this flange overlaps the wheelhouse. I marked those locations, and I'm probably going to cut off that whole upper section. So let me put that up in place and show you what I'm talking about. Okay. So here's the wheelhouse up in place, and it fits really well. I mean, it lines up good on the flanges that are already there. The overlaps are good. The hole in the front is very close to where it's supposed to be. But when I come up here, this is where it gets a little tight. I don't know if I can get a good angle on that. I can pinch this part over here. I can tighten this up easily enough, but up at this top section it wants to push out. So I think I'm further ahead if I do cut off that flange, get this nice and tight, and weld it in. I know it may not make much difference. It may only push the quarter out just a little bit, but I don't want to fight with it. I want to make sure it's going to fit flush. Up here, this part, you know, they had cut this off, whoever did this work before, and I may need to just adjust it a little to get it to fit right, but it's no problem. Okay, I'm now committed. Everything lines up really nice, as it should. The wheelhouse fits nice and tight onto the quarter. In the back, everything lines up very, very nice. So pretty happy with all of that. And of course there is some that I'm going to have to, work this in simply because the flanges are fighting me, the overlaps. So in the front here, this is pushing it away just slightly. That's how good this fits. And then down here I can push this nice and snug, and also back here this fits really nice. So at this point, what I need to do is take this back off, punch the holes for the wheelhouse, get it installed, and then of course prep the inside opening there and start trimming the rest of this. So normally the way I would do this, and I still plan to do it this way, is I will sandwich these together very tightly. I may even put some screws in here to make sure this stays up good and snug. And then I will cut both panels at the same time, eliminating a possible error in the cutting. And I've seen other people do this. You can cut at an angle instead of trying to cut straight. I have done that a little bit in the past, and what that does, it creates a bevel that allows this to sit in up against the panel, makes it fit a little bit tighter. So I'm going to get that wheelhouse taken care of and keep moving forward. This is probably going to be my stop point. The reason is I wanted to just take care of that one quarter panel. In other words, it's a big bulky piece when it's a full assembly, and I've been dragging these things around. They're getting all beat up, and I decided I'll just take care of this side. I'm not ready to finish this. There's a lot of grinding to do underneath here. I still need to cut both of these together. So for short term, because again, this isn't my primary project right now, short term I'll probably run some self-tapping screws like was in it that was holding the other piece on, and just leave it at that. And then I can come back later, take that apart, and do a lot more work to it. But I think that's going to be the end of this video, at least that's my plan. Okay, like I said, I think that'll be the stop point for this. I want to do more work on the inside, and I'm not ready to do all the detail stuff just yet. This is a back burner project. This is my Mach 1. I'm not in a hurry to get this done. I am here to finish up the Cobra Jet. So that's my plan at this point, is to keep working on the Cobra Jet and get it done. And that all involved me moving stuff around. As I said, I had to take this car out of the paint booth, put the Cobra Jet back there, and move all these pieces and parts around. So it makes sense in my mind anyway. As it is, I want to thank you for being here. You know, I have sponsors, essentially, my patrons, and you know, they're fantastic. I share information on my Patreon account that is exclusive to them, and so they get to see a lot of the things that I'm doing behind the scenes, let's say. They also may get an exclusive video here and there. So I encourage you, if you're interested, to become a patron and see what you get with that. I know I've had great success with having them here because, again, YouTube doesn't care what I do, but my patrons do, and I want to thank them especially. So thank you for being here and watching, and until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.